Just got a phone call moments ago confirming this to be true. I literally just looked on the internet to see if anyone was covering this. And yes, Alex Lockie got to this article right away from Overdrive. And he puts in the title here, Court pauses DOT rule seeking to push 200,000 non-domiciled CDL drivers out of commercial work. So we will break down a little bit more of what happened in the past and what Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy declared. And basically he said, look, we need these non-domiciled CDL drivers to actually be able and legal to work in the state, and they need to make it harder and make it so that they actually have the proper visa, green card, and work permits to be able to drive a truck in America as a non-domiciled CDL driver. And when they looked at this statistically, over 194,000 of these drivers out of the 200,000 would not qualify. And so we'll get into this here, but the big thing is the court today has just put a pending on this rule. So the Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, at this moment cannot just put more stricter and more stringent rules on these 200,000 non-domiciled CDL truck drivers. So I'm sure these drivers today are extremely happy about this rule. We'll see what happens here. As far as Overdrive, Alex Lockie says, he shows this order here, and says that the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration interim final rule on September 29, 2025, be administratively stayed pending further order of the court. The purpose of this administrative stay is to give the court sufficient opportunity to consider the emergency motions for stay pending review and should not be construed in any way as a ruling on the merits of those motions. In any way as a ruling on the merits of those motions, the court statement said it's unclear how long that will take. So, my truckers, that's where we're at here today. It's a pause. Tell me, what do you feel with this? What do you believe with this? I'll get into some background of how this even came up. So let me give you a background of this. Rivera versus FMCSA on September 29th of 2025, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, FMCSA, issued a new regulation immediately in effect that bars asylum seekers, refugees, and deferred action for childhood arrivals, so DACA recipients with work authorization, from holding commercial driver's licenses. As a result, nearly 200,000 people currently working as commercial drivers will lose their license and their livelihoods. These drivers include truck drivers, school bus drivers, delivery van drivers, trash truck drivers, and others. So representing DACA recipient George Rivera, asylum seekers Aliski Samovisky, American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, and the American Federation of Teachers. Public citizen filed a petition in the D.C. Circuit to challenge both the substance of the rule and FMCSA's failure to follow rulemaking procedures required by law. On October 24, 2025, in light of immediate harm caused by the rule, we filed an emergency motion to stay the rule while the litigation is ongoing. So that's what they did. Right. So just want to give you some background story of that, but that's the situation we're here today. And so now, the FMCSA has put a pause on this and cannot do anything until, the court has made a decision. So let's get into some things that, of course, are going to piss off some truck drivers and other drivers, especially non-domiciled CDL drivers, are going to be more happy about. And the argument here is Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy states that, hey, there are 5 horrific accidents. 100% agree that should never happen. But, the court argument here is that 5 sample size big enough for the Secretary of Transportation to make a bigger rule on this, right? And that's the case. I mean, Alex Lockie and I talked about this from Overdrive, and he even stated too and agreed, and we both agree on this, that, how many people do have to pass away and die and be in a horrible accident for them to make stronger rules. But then the argument still plays, is 5 a big enough sample size to say that we need to make stronger rules on non-domiciled CDL drivers? And I know what a lot of drivers will say about this. I'm just bringing up the argument for, just conversational basis, but that's what the courts at the FMCSA are literally fighting about. So this right here, just want to put it out there, is definitely 100% fake news here. If you see this, it's just false, right? And people are talking about it. Some people are not seeing the satire in this. So just want to put it out there that this is fake news. And basically stating that, Swift Transportation will not be going to New York City because of the new mayor. And so he says, his plans to raise tolls, licensing, and inspection costs will put a lot of small companies out of business. And so because of that, I guess, they're stating that Swift is declining all loads to New York City, which 100% is false, not true. So if you see this, just don't believe it. So actually what's happening in Illinois is actually real and not fake news. Okay, so the lawmakers there just approved a bill to hike 30% of truck tolls. So they just approved by the state legislature on October 31st, tolls for commercial trucks would increase 30% to help fund a $1.5 billion plan to revamp the state's transit operations. Specifically, the state would replace the current Regional Transportation Authority with a new Northern Illinois Transit Authority to oversee statewide transit systems. The plan would increase tolls by 45 cents for passenger vehicles. The bill awaits the signature of Governor JB. Of course, all the carriers, they're pissed about this, but we'll keep you in tune with this. But this right here is actually real news. Definitely, Mutha truckers, it's always crazy out there. I hope that you are safe. I'm praying that you get home to your loved ones. We had a driver send me a video and said, just about an hour ago that this happened, said there was an accident on Interstate 35 southbound near mile marker 66 involving a cargo container and a full-size RV that was possibly pulling a vehicle in tow or a separate vehicle that was involved in the accident. He states here that it was in Missouri on I-35 southbound lanes, mile marker 66. So just be careful out there. I love you guys. If you guys ever have a video you'd like to send to Mutha Trucker News, email us at muthatruckernews@gmail.com. We'll do our best to post the video for you. So thank you so much, and you guys have a great night.